welcome back to Worlds 2021. We're here for the second game of this series between Galatasaray. I think I got it better that time, right?
Yeah,
Beyond.
Galatasaray. You just need to say it fast.
I just had a couple of tweets saying don't say Galatasaray, so it's Galatasaray.
Yeah.
We'll try. If you're Turkish and you hate my pronunciation, tweet at me. I need the engagement. Anyway, here we are into draft. Beyond Gaming picked red side, as we heard before the break. Let's have a look at the bans. Well, Beyond, you're not going to get Aphelios, Draven, or Irelia. On the other side, Beyond have banned out Kiana, Zoe, and Kennen.
And this leaves up the Bolulu's Ryze at the same time, so a pivotal one. So since that's not getting first pick, yeah, that is still Maoan's most played champion in summer as well, so that's still comfort going through it. But I honestly think Galatasaray, they did Beyond a favor by banning away that Irelia. Not something I was a fan on, seeing Liang into getting solo killed as well by Crazy. But with a Ryze pick now coming in through Maoan, you should have more pressure in that mid lane to accelerate some of these side lanes. And speaking of a side lane, Doggo himself have already locked in an AD carry. The Lucian, he was pretty tired of being pushed in on a tower.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go down across towards Beyond this time. However, Misfortune and Twisted Fate for Bolulu. So he's going to be looking towards, again, a roaming champion in the mid lane. Couldn't take the Ryze, couldn't take the Zoe because it was banned away. This time, he's going towards TF.
But I already love this because now you know that we're going to be getting some proactive gameplay at level 6. You have the Twisted Fate with Destiny Gate and obviously the Realm Warp to come through from the Ryze instead. So whoever you want to prioritize, it is definitely going to have an easier time on that side of the map. The question now beckons, who do you want to prioritize? Is it Doggo on the bot side from Beyond Gaming you want to put this pressure, or is it actually up towards the top side? Because you are leaving yourself open with a counter pick. You can fourth pick a support here, like a Leona if you want to make a takeaway, and then you can save the last pick for Liang later into the pick order.
Let's see where Beyond decide to go. A Mumu banned out as well. Once again, one of those champions where you ban him out to do the enemy team a favor. Doesn't have the best win-loss at the moment across the course of Worlds. Even seems to turn the greatest of players into slight nervous wrecks. We saw some engagers on that champ that don't tend to go with players' usual playstyle. Tahm Kench taken away from Liang. I like this. Also, is Galatasaray expecting, like saying, oh, if you wanted to play topside, weak side, we're not going to give you the pick that was so strong for you the other day.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good adaptation. I wonder now then, are they just going to say, well, then we just pick another top laner instead? Now Tahm Kench is out of the way. Now we can just go for the Jayce instead, which we saw yesterday. The first 6th level of the Jayce, you have the push in. But after that, once Tahm Kench starts getting his devour, the lane actually flips and you get to have kill pressure with the catfish. But now the question beckons, that is Crazy's most played champion. He's played it 6 times in summer, 1 time here at Worlds, and you know what, Medic? He has not lost on it yet.
They do say that Gwen is perhaps immune to losing here for Galatasaray, and it will be locked in. Only the support left to pick out of the usual pool. Leona, definitely a possibility here. Probably one of the safest blind pick supports in the current meta, and gives you great follow-up with the Twisted Fate with the Lee if you can lock someone up.
So here's the good thing. It is that there's 3 champions left. There's the Rakan, there's the Leona, and there's the Braum. If you pick the Leona here as Galatasaray, Beyond Gaming, they'll lock in the Braum. If they had picked in Rakan, then Beyond Gaming, they would have locked in the Leona instead. So it's like there was a few champions left. There's like rock, paper, scissor-esque. Yeah. And because of this, Beyond Gaming now gets to pick the Braum here to pair up with your Lucian. Works super well into the Misfortune and gets you that extra lane priority that we just saw that Galatasaray had with their own bot lane. So they're flipping the table a bit here.
Expectations are that Beyond will have the push in the bottom lane with that Lucian Braum. Of course, Doggo always the key focus for the team from the PCS. See if they decide to put a little bit more impetus on getting him ahead in this game. Last time he was kind of left on an island for the first few minutes of the game, but he and Kino constantly won the 2v2, sometimes with a little help from the jungler. Let's have a look at these compositions in their holistic form here, Gorborg. Tell me a little bit about what you expect these teams to do.
Well, I'm definitely looking at the 2 mid laners, and I'm looking at who can get that priority first, who can move around with their jungler first, because having this stale laning phase where you just stay in your lanes for the first 10 minutes, that's just not gonna cut it. especially when you have champions like the Twisted Fate and like the Ryze. So whoever gets to be proactive gets to set the pace of the game. And once again, the question beckons as Beyond, are we playing for the Lucian Braum here, or are we playing up towards the top side with Liang now on the Jayce? Because there's still something to play for as Galatasaray here, or Galatasaray, sorry. Weird. You put it onto me. I said it right the entire tournament. And then because of you guys, all of a sudden you start slipping up. But no, I think with the Gwen obviously up there towards the top side, it's a comfortable matchup for Crazy, his most played champion, and with the Twisted Fate to pair it up with, it's going to be interesting to see if Beyond Gaming attack bot, how will Liang deal with the pressure that he will be receiving in the top side then instead?
Well, after game one going Galatasaray's way, Beyond elected to be on the red side. They are trying to fight back and even out the series at 1 apiece. It is a best of 5, of course, so it's first to 3. But after watching the early game from Galatasaray in game 1, I think if they were able to keep that momentum, they actually pretty much had that game in the bag. They had early kills on Mojito, Crazy was in a good position, and Beyond had been pushed back and were losing every single lane. Here we actually see a little bit of an early switch as Liang is joined in the top lane by Kino, just in case Crazy decided to overextend. A not very commonly seen decision from him here as well, with the exhaust teleport on the Gwen instead of Ignite TP.
The timing as well on that, just because of if Kino had stayed there just for 1 extra second, that'd be crazy. Having to burn at least an exhaust because you have no flash to run out of that one. But yeah, it definitely does give you a bit more of extra, what do you say, breathing room in the lane against Jayce. That all in, if he ever comes in with the hammer slam, well, then you get to have the exhaust down, you get to stay in your Hallowed Mist where you get extra resistances, and then you can start sustaining up, as we as often see you do on the Gwen. On the side of Beyond though, are they looking to get some vision control? Are they looking for more here? And it looks like they just want to have an early ward down to track Mojito into jungle, see how fast he clears, specifically because he will be clearing up towards the top side, which both junglers obviously will, which is going to be that start of the battle, just because you want to get that pressure going in the mid. You want to move it up. You want to get one of these lanes snowballed.
And the last game we saw just how much Bolulu can do with extra pressure in the mid lane. Had a stellar performance on the Zoe, and will continue to try and trade in with Maoan here. Of course, Twisted Fate doesn't really have the same individual impact as a Zoe does, but Bolulu's shown us across the course of his international career how well he can control the map for his team.
Yeah, and we've already said this about Galatasaray from the beginning they entered the tournament. If you shot this guy down, you realistically speaking shot Galatasaray down, because they've been so reliant on their solo laners. And this guy, obviously the catalyst in the mid lane, as we can see on the stats as well. So far with the 2 mid laners though, it is Maoan with the Ryze into the Twisted Fate that is receiving that priority, and that will get him the first move. So moving up towards the top side here, they have the intel on Mojito. They saw him on the ward on the Raptors. Husha, he has skipped camps. And with this moving up towards the top side, we could actually see an early dive here. You can see Maoan stacked a wave, Liang stacked a wave. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Beyond Gaming members move up towards this top side.
You even see assistance pings coming out from Crazy. He knows that something could happen on this top side of the map. That ward will spot out Husha as he goes across. Maoan able to retreat. Bolulu with a gold card locked in, uses it instead to take the cannon. Now Husha can go in here. Wind becomes lightning, does proc. Mojito with a safeguard will get himself away from that fight, but Mojito yet to take any of this top side of the map. He is level 3. Husha with a single extra camp cleared so far. We'll get towards that level 4 a bit quicker. Liang trading, and as we look back and forth, you can see Crazy getting knocked back a couple of times. So good you had to watch it twice there as Liang pushes in towards that blue buff. That one's come across as well. Looks like Beyond might actually be able to steal this one away. Mojito sticking on the wolves instead. Wildcards come out from Bolulu, but Galatasaray will have to give up their blue.
But this is so nice. Beyond Gaming, they actually have solo laners. What's that? Priority in top, priority in mid. I get to invade the opponent who didn't skip his camp. Super nice pathing for Husha in the early game. And you know what? We're not done in the bottom lane either, as they are coming in alive. He doesn't have any summon as well, just dead.
This is the pressure that you can put on with Lucian Braum, really, though. And then another stun's going to come out to Zergsting. Crazy's joining the fight as Doggo tries to flange away. Exhaust goes down onto him. 1-for-1 trade, and everyone now is down here as a party in the bottom lane. I should have brought balloons. Bolulu's going to force Maoan away, but he flashes forward. And with the overload, will secure the kill. Crazy next on the menu. Galatasaray able to walk away, wounded, limping Kino. That's a lot of minions. Should have stand beside me. We'll be able to jump away to Liang.
finally gets out of that one, and it's so nice to see Beyond Gaming be proactive. It's what we talked about, Medic. The team that pulls the trigger often will be the team pulling out ahead here in the early game, and mid lane has been crashed here. So Bolulu, despite him making his way down there, had to lose this minion wave while the enemy jungler picked up the minion wave. So here in the Axe replay, we get to see how volatile Doggo can be when he gets some resources from his teams as well. They're the one who's pulling the trigger, which is great, but as soon as the teleport starts challenging, they start to be a part of this skirmish as well.
I mean, 8 people in the bottom lane is something I've experienced a lot of times in my solo queue. Beyond very willing to invest the resources into this, knowing Mojito was on the top side of the map, knowing he could get a man advantage and continually trading. And let's take a breath, let's take a second to really take all of that in and see where we are in terms of state of the game. 1,000 gold lead now for Beyond, and they're looking for Crazy on the top lane. No flash, hasn't had it all game, still doesn't have it, Goldborg. No exhaust on him either, and no TP. Crazy lives up to his name by overextending a little bit. Liang should be able to secure this, misses the shock blast, and Husha will dive in for the final auto attack for the kill.
And this is some of the tendencies that we have seen from Galatasaray in the past as well. Crazy, he loves having a high forward percentage, he loves taking control over his own lane, but because of this, he will disrespect the enemy quite a couple of times, and this is why mid lane priority is so important for this game, because if there's no one covering up for your bad habits, or just, you know, the habits of extending your gold lead like that, you're gonna end up suffering. So Husha, once again, solidifying himself in this game. They will have to pay the price with the Drake going over to Galatasaray, but going off accelerating the early game lead here, you take it as Beyond.
And the question for Galatasaray is, can they do what Beyond were able to do in the last game and actually mitigate some of this early bleeding? Because right now, Alive is caught out once again. Galatasaray started up the Cloud Drake, and because of it, they lose 2 kills. They have to get out of there. They lose the Drake. It's 4 kills, 5 kills to 1 in favor of Beyond, a 2,000 gold lead and the first objective.
Super nice from Beyond here. I was talking about having to give up the Drake, but you know what? Don't care about that. Pick up the kills. Get the objective for yourself. You have a gold lead. You have the first objective. Rift Herald spawns in 1 minute and 30 seconds, and by then you can look to equalize even more. You know what? He's not even done forcing flashes off Mojito.
And this is where Husha is just so good. Realm Walk coming in as well as Maoan looks to try and catch out that Lee Sin's going to chase forward. Maoan, overload? Okay, yeah,
We don't talk about that. That was a bit of an oopsie.
I've got it. Have you ever listened to Kobe?
Yeah.
That realm warp sucked.
Man, you're a genius coming up
know,
with
right?
these things.
It's original.
Where do you get it from? I don't get it.
You know how NA steals all the EU players? We steal all their catchphrases.
You know what? Fair price, fair price. Dying there, obviously, it sucks a bit, but in the end of the grand scheme of objectives, you don't lose all too much of it. You'll still be able to come back into lane and pick up the minion wave, get the priority for a potential Rift Herald in the future. But going back to an objective we had just before, Galatasaray seeing the enemy jungler on the top side, feeling confident starting this Drake, but Beyond Gaming with a very quick response and punish in being down here so quickly afterwards to pick up the kills and pick up the objective, putting them in a very favorable position.
As the Culling and Knight ticking on Zergsting as well, and Galatasaray just in such a difficult position here. Really no way out of it for them. 2,000 gold behind every lane, getting forced back. CS leads in top, CS lead in bot. You can see Doggo, most gold in the game by almost 1,000 over Alive right now. He is in such a powerful place on this Lucian. We saw like a semblance of this in the last game. Doggo and Kino were behind when they were playing into this Lucian Braum matchup, but here Doggo and Kino have just taken over that bot lane with these 2 picks.
Completely, and you know, they have 3 lanes of priority and first move here, but Galatasaray, they're here to contest, but they don't have that bot lane here. There's going to be 5 members of Beyond and 0 of Galatasaray in a bit.
Yeah, Bolulu was on a ward. He's going to have to flash away, and now Galatasaray should just back away from this. Mojito still looking for it. Liang's going to slow him up and force him away. Galatasaray still looking for this fight. The Rift Herald will go down. Do they want to continue pushing in? The Turkish representatives want a little bit more of the action. Unbreakable going out. That's a great bullet. Time's going to rip through them. Liang has to flash away, but he's already killed off Mojito. And Galatasaray just unwilling to give up an objective. Continue to push in. The needle work goes wide as Doggo refuses to take his shot.
And that's just a bit greedy. Beyond Gaming, they had the entire setup. Bot lane was pushed in first, which meant the Doggo, Kino, they would be up there. Jayce obviously getting the priority against Crazy, and then Maoan in the mid lane. And Galatasaray, they just wanted to get in there and out-teamfight them. They wanted to find their leads that way when they in turn could have just pushed in the bot lane. They could have made a cross map, but they decided to answer the play and they lost out on it.
And Beyond now in such a strong position because of that Goldberg. Rift Herald picked up first dragon of the game as well. 2,000 gold lead. In prime position to take over this game. Galatasaray looking very much on the losing end of this one, and we'll see if they can find a way back into it, because that's what Beyond did so well in game one. They were able to fight back from a losing position. Yes, they lost the game in the end, a lot of that off to, you know, a couple of great smites coming out from Mojito, but here Galatasaray do need to find an avenue to approach this game.
Yeah, but the compositional difference here is just a bit greater than it was in the other game. This time around, you're relying heavily on Mojito to find a kick into you together with the Roam, with the Twisted Fate. And you have to do it to create a man advantage, because if you fight them head on right now, the wallet on Beyond, it is just bigger, and because of that, they're going to be winning out on these fights. You can already see the early mythics that's coming through. The Gale Force, thank you, MasterCard, and then afterwards, the Gorgeringer from Husha also here, which just makes it so much more difficult. This is Kino. 1v2, obviously his mid laner's behind him, but they can't get anything on the map.
You see how passively Galatasaray have to play. They're just backing away from it, and Husha will be able to secure the Scuttle Crab gifted over to him by Kino, by his support. Beyond with a 2,000 gold lead, very much in control of this game. I want to see where that Rift Herald is put down. I've yet to really see much movement from these mid laners. Maoan starting now to team up with his jungler and try and make some forays into the enemy jungle, but with the exhaust down here onto Liang, needlework connecting, snip, 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 snip! Destiny comes in, there's the gold card locked, and Bolulu will kill the Jayce.
That's one of the cross maps we wanted to see, but the problem here now becomes that you don't have a Rift Herald, you don't have to wave to punish on any of these plates despite Liang being down. He also has to teleport, so while it was a nice roam, you're losing out on the mid lane. Maoan can now move down, and now you can accelerate the pressure. 2
TPs available here, and there's some Rumble going in behind them as well. These TPs could turn this game as Maoan caught out off towards the top side. Bolulu pops the stopwatch. Maoan's already dead. Bolulu's still surviving for the moment, but now he has been killed off. Crazy joins the fray. 4v4 on the bottom lane. Husha does still have that Rift Herald, has to wait, of course, to be out of combat to put it down. Both TPs expended for the side of Galatasaray. TP still available here for Maoan. Galatasaray staying 4 players strong down towards this bottom lane, looking to defend. The wave's going to push in. Husha can just put down that Rift Herald, but you want to get rid of that next plate before you do, because of the bulwark, because of the extra defenses. They can't do that, so he puts down the Rift Herald as the wave is cleared out. TP used by Maoan, and Beyond want to continue this fray, want to continue a Barney, want to continue the fight in the bottom lane. Husha forced away, waves cleared out, Rift Herald will charge in, but not able to take down the tower.
But I think that's fine. What you really want here is also stacking on your objectives on the Drakes here, because you could have just let the Rift Herald go down, move yourself up towards the Drake, and with the reset timers coming through from Galatasaray, I think you're going to be able to do it anyway. So yeah, Husha and Maoan is going to move on towards the Drake, while Doggo and Kino, they continue their siege on the bottom tier turret, so they're still losing out. They're losing a bit of minion waves in the mid lane, but all in all, you're super happy about this exchange.
Beyond continue just to find all of these incremental advantages. We'll have another look at this play, because Mojito looks for it originally. Husha was always waiting in the wings.
Yeah, and they're just waiting for the respawn timers as well for Liang in the top side. You can see 1 minute till he respawns. Maoan getting a bit too confident, getting a bit too deep, thinking he can find that dream flank that we so often see on a Ryze, but at this point in the game, it was a bit too easy for Galatasaray to turn on him. And then after this, it just becomes an extended fight into the Rift Herald, into what we saw afterwards with the objectives. Not happy.
Not happy at all. Just a small mistake that can cost you so much in a fight like that. Both Maoan and Bolulu pushed a little bit too far, pushed a little bit too greedily with their TP and Realm Warp respectively. And now we see Beyond with a sizable chunk of change in their back pockets. 3,000 gold ahead. Doggo already completed the Gale Force. Yet to see a Mythic for Alive on this Misfortune.
Yeah, not a lot of mana left on Alive here, but the setup is good if you want to collapse. There's a jungler and a top laner here, and they have the vision.
Yeah, Hex Flash away from Zergsting. That's one of those.
Come on.
You see the second player coming, and you're like, nope, don't want a single piece of that. Maoan here trading onto Bolulu, who locks in a gold card. Yet to complete a Mythic of his own. Actually, both mid laners yet to get that Everfrost. Maoan should be able to walk away from this one. And once again, Galatasaray actually only playing 2 lanes of this map. They're looking for something down towards this bottom lane, but while all of this is happening, Doggo is going to get plate after plate after plate off that top side. Stun's coming in. There's the gold card as well. Husha, Crescent Guard away. Mojito caught underneath the tower. Zergsting will fall. Bolulu stepping past the tower as well. Liang flashes in. There's the exhaust. Bolulu's going to get caught out by Kino. Dodges the Fisher. Superb sidestep by him. Alive's now going to flash away. Crazy joins the fight as well off towards the top side. Husha and Maoan. Kino should be able to jump over to his teammates. Ends up being a 1-for-1. It's a top laner for support trade.
All for one, or 1 for 1, but the fact that Galatasaray had to invest their entire roster in making that play work, while Doggo alone on the top side of the map is clearing away the waves, is getting solo experience for himself, is getting a turret for himself. You can take a look at the gold. He's sitting at 7,000. The closest behind him is 1,500 away, or close to at least.
It's a huge lead for Doggo, and it's when we talk about how Beyond like to invest resources into Doggo, it's not purely everyone is ganking for him, it's also how they give him plates, how they give him gold, how they give him CS. 30% of the CS in the game between the 15 and 30 minute mark goes into that AD carry's pockets. We'll have another look at this dive, because it was an attempt at coordination from Galatasaray, but Husha actually plays it really well.
He does, and he has the... Does he have to go? Yeah, he already has the gold trigger as well, so going for this dive is just insanely ambitious. He already has the ultimate as well to make sure that they won't pile onto him, and after the fight really breaks out, I mean, Bolulu's just lucky that he's not getting taken out. Maoan's ultimate could have been way better if they wanted to clean up these kills as well. So all in all, as Galatasaray, despite you losing the play as hard as you did, it could have been way worse.
So fancy feat by the Turkish players to avoid that fight. Culling coming out, Zergsting's going to eat it up. The Eclipse, of course, will keep him a little bit tankier than he would be otherwise. Solo flight back up to Doggo. There's the bullet time cleanse into the dash away. Unbreakable, of course, very good into MF. Can just block up a huge amount of that damage from the bullet time. But Kino and Husha are down to half HP. Mojito, yeah, you got to know that they're waiting for you there. Don't click that control ward. Don't go for it. And the gold lead continues to extend little by little here for Beyond. 4,000 gold ahead. There are some signs of life for Galatasaray. They have the Ocean Drake up for them in a minute if they want to go for it. Probably want to fight around that. We saw how impactful Soul can be in the last game. And they're also going to be able to get this Rift held, you would assume. Although Beyond might have something to say about that.
Destiny Gate is available for Bolulu if they want to come in for any flanks here, but it just seems like with the priority gained by Galatasaray, they will be able to pick up the first objective, or the second Rift Tower rather, and that ties nicely into what you were just talking about here, Medic. The fact that we have 1 minute for the Ocean Drake to respawn here, and now you have a Rift Hell in your inventory, ready to deploy to not really get a turret, but to get some pressure here. But speaking of pressure, I think this might lead to a fight in the mid lane.
No solo flare for Zergsting, doesn't land the Zenith Blade either. Kino's almost down, Zergsting ticking away. Will just survive. Spoke too soon. Liang with a long-range shot blast will find that kill. And now Beyond with a man advantage and 30 seconds on that Ocean Drake, their third dragon of the game. Can just push in, get the mid-prio, work their way around. The culling once again from Doggo. He's tanking up tower shots for this. He doesn't really care as long as he's putting the damage down himself. Beyond will reset. Actually, it looks like they're going to go for a full reset before this dragon comes out.
Death timers are none. Everyone's still alive. Obviously, Zergsting only level 7 on the Leona, so already out of the map once again. And they're just going to push in one more wave in the mid lane, get that extra priority before moving down towards the Drake. Kino just half-backed, and now he's got wards again. He's full HP, and he's ready to set up the fight.
And seeing our Verizon 5G Alta Trey says Galatasaray's ability to find picks and win team fights regardless of the circumstances may just be the difference in this series, where they're looking to find a pick and take a team fight right now. They are 5,000 gold behind. A great kick from Mojito into the solo play, but it only gets the slow. Zergsting off to the top side of the fight as Beyond have separated Galatasaray across the map. Stun card coming out, but Maoan's already killed off Zergsting. Kino now on the front line. Winter's bite into the unbreakable bullet time available here for Galatasaray. They want to look for it. Bolulu going in. Stun card locked once again. Maoan stepping forward. Look at how low Beyond are. The roots coming out. Bolulu caught up. Mojito kills one. Bolulu stepping back, but already alive is down before he can even pop the bullet time. And perhaps that spells the demise of Galatasaray's hopes. Mojito tried to heal up with a gold trigger, but he didn't have it, and Doggo now turns it around. Bolulu's down. It's double for Doggo, and Crazy is sent packing.
Beyond played so well around the race of Galatasaray, and also the fact that they were split up on two sides of that Drake pit. So they've really juggled the balance quite nicely in between them. They pick up the kills, they pick up the priority, and with this, they should be able to pick up the Drake. Husha, he does have Smite, and there we go. 18 minutes into the game, soul point now for Beyond, and they keep accelerating the lead that they have. Remember, Galatasaray, they still have their own Rift Hell in their inventory to try and recreate some plays for themselves. But the problem for you is right now that you don't have control on any part of the map. Top lane, mid lane, bot lane, it keeps shoving into you. So, as we just saw in the Verizon 5G All Chat, it is about finding that crucial pick, because if you don't, this game is just going to slip out of your hands.
Yeah, 7,000 goal behind at 19 minutes.
Might already be away, right?
It's pretty slipped. Let's be honest, it's rolling down the hill right now as we once again look at this fight. And you can just see, Alive is never in position to actually put any damage down. So far, yet to auto attack, yet to auto attack, yet to auto attack. No ult coming out. Mojito dives back in. Couple of autos onto Kino. Great, he puts up the Unbreakable. Alive never has the opportunity to do anything.
And it looks so good here because the HP bars are so low, but Alive, as you said, he doesn't have the opportunity to just straight up start with the bullet time. And because of this, there's never capitalized on the low HP bars. That's
the call of the queue right there.
Almost was a good play because we've already seen how many times a gold drinker can just get you up to full HP and you just clean up the entire fight.
That's a jungler's mentality right there. That's every Lee Sin when they die in my solo queue games. Like, oh, but I hit the queue. It was almost a really good play. It's like, no, you dived into 4 people by yourself. I mean, maybe I can see what he's trying to do, but didn't quite work out for them. We have to try and make some plays. Alive, almost caught out here by Doggo. Doggo's actually going to dive. He went too deep. Bullet time ripping through Beyond, but not really doing as much damage as you'd like. Kino knocked back as well. And that dive was diabolically bad. Beyond just doing something absolutely absurd there. Doggo diving way too deep. Red Tower's going to charge in the bottom lane here as well. Remember, the Baron's on the cards. Doggo is dead. All of that gold went over to Alive. And Galatasaray actually have the option here. Do you continue to push in this? You get tower in the bot lane, you get tower in the mid lane, or do you turn over to the Baron? They decide against the Baron for the moment. Red Tower continues to do the damage, but this could be 2 tier 2s for Galatasaray.
You want to watch out. There's still TP up from the Jayce and from the Ryze, so if they want to flank from behind, there is good wards to it, but it looks like they just want to back off. Starting up the Baron would have been catastrophic. Thank you very much. Galatasaray, you know, it's a bit weird with these words, but in the end, it's the fact that the death timers were so low, so you wouldn't be able to just start up a Baron immediately. So reset timers are on the map again, and we will get back to a map state where Beyond Gaming still has a very favorable gold lead. They still are in a position where they will be able to open up the map. And all you have to do here is just keep Galatasaray at bay, keep them in vision, keep them in control, because you have 2 minutes onto the Ocean Soul. You have Baron, that you already mentioned, is out of the map, and it's just a matter of time, of finding the right time to go for these last pieces.
Doggo's in the dog shed after this one. Just goes too deep, gets stunned, cleanses too late, locked up. Shutdown goes over to Galatasaray. Actually, I thought it went to Alive. It going to Kino. Zergsting, sorry, is not a big thing. Not great there for Galatasaray. If Alive had picked that up, that would be a second completed item on the MF. And Zergsting still on his way towards a locket, yet to actually complete it.
And just taking a look at items in general, Liang sitting on 2 here. Super nice poke is going to be coming out from this Jayce. We've already seen what he can do with the Shock Blast, and you know, they got a taste of Bolulu Zoe's last game. It's time for him to return the favor, not in the same extent, but you know, still the idea is there behind it. And now it is just about keeping that control, keeping Galatasaray behind. We already know how hard of a time that Galatasaray have been having if they're not in the lead, how hard of a time they've been having if they don't get to dictate the pace themselves, but they did come back from a mid-game deficit last game, and looking to do it again, but Beyond Gaming not really letting them, with the minion waves now colliding onto the turret.
A minute before the Ocean Soul, Solar Flare going out once again. Doggo has a stopwatch, the bullet time comes through. Bolulu with a stun card as well on towards the backline. They're looking for the damage, but Zergsting's already down. Bolulu has to flash away, Kino low as well. Bolulu continues to step in. Kino ticking, but won't be down. Stun card once again, Alive and Crazy can step forward. So far a 2-for-1 in favor of Beyond, but Bolulu, Crazy, and Alive do have the option here to step into the Beyond spaces. And you can see actually Husha down to about half HP. Now he's going to eat the honey fruit, and usually honey makes everything okay. So we'll be able to heal up just a little bit. Dragon up in 30 seconds time.
That's the thing, we have 10 seconds onto Doggo, the same for Mojito. This is definitely not the last fight we'll be having, and right now it's all about the control around this Drake. Galatasaray being forced away from it, and now it's going to be a battle of who can push in the enemy laners, who can get control of this mid lane, so we have easy access to the Drake when it spawns. It's 10 seconds, and all the members are coming out on the map once again, Medic.
Doggo off that reset has now finished an Infinity Edge alongside the Essence Reaver and the Gale Force. This Lucian gets any time to auto-attack in a fight, he is going to absolutely tear through Galatasaray, but with the Dragon started up, Mojito actually going to be out of vision here. Everfrost used by Maoan. Mojito, they don't know he's there. The Unseen Lee is the deadliest now. He clears away the Farsight Alteration, and the Dragon left alone by Beyond. Mojito's just going to tank it up. Safeguard coming out as well. Bullet time, about a quarter of its cooldown left before Galatasaray will have that option. Bolulu on the flank. They're looking for Doggo. He does have a cleanse, though. There's the Solar Flare. Doggo able to dodge to the back of it. Crescent Guard used by Husha. Doggo fighting down towards the bottom side. Kali comes out, and Bolulu has been killed. Now I'm going down as well, but now alive. What damage can you do? Doesn't still have the bullet time. Husha's down. It's shut down. And now the fight continues. Crazy. Forcing Maoan and Kino back. Doggo low. Mojito goes in, gets one. Doggo's going to try and kill him across the wall. Dragon secured. Realm Warp coming out from Maoan will escape. 2 for 2 so far, but Galatasaray were able to take the ocean. Does Doggo step forward? Crazy, you could turn this one. You could go for it. I'm the devil on your shoulder. Instead, he listens to the angels instead and backs away. Ocean Drake secured for Galatasaray is huge for them, means no soul so far for Beyond.
But this is already a big weakness for Beyond. We look back to the game just before, and that bush in the ocean map, they just keep ignoring it. They forget that even exists, and because the vision control is not there, it's easy for Galatasaray to still contest it. And I think Crazy specifically in the backline on this Gwen did so much damage and scattered the fight despite Beyond fighting the good pick on Bolulu in the beginning.
I think Doggo is kind of distracted, and Galatasaray, they know Bolulu. If Doggo focuses him, he's dead, so they go in at the same time.
Yeah, so here you see Mojito coming in that bush once again, and it's so easy for him to get access onto the pick. Here's Bolulu going down, as you mentioned, Medic, and look at Crazy in the backline here, making sure he's zoning away 3 members by himself. Doggo has to dash away. Because of that, he's out of the fight. Maoan can't get in, and Kino does his best to steal it with a Winter Spite and pays for it. Because of this, they get the kill, but they have to get out. And they still keep Galatasaray in the game despite a 6k gold deficit.
Mate, what are you doing? Zergsting behind enemy lines.
He's going to be
doing his best Owen Wilson impression as he tries to sneak past that one. Oh, he doesn't even get the room for an overload when it's used, and Zergsting's able to walk away.
Honestly, who blames him? Who anticipates? You're probably there, shot calling, talking about what the setup is going to be. You walk into the river, and all of a sudden there's a Leona in the top side, just casually walking away.
It's like when you, I mean, living up to his name in StarCraft, when you send a single drone into the enemy base and they're just running away from the roaches as much as they can, just like trying to sneak away. Manages to escape, did get a little bit of extra vision for his team, but slightly surprised that he survived. Gwen pushing in the bottom lane, Crazy with that TP. It's actually in a good position. Realm Warp used away here. Mojito looking for the flank. 4v4 right now on the bottom side, but Crazy is able to take a tower off towards the bot side of the map, so that's more gold going over to Galatasaray. Only 6,000 between these two teams. Remember, that was up to 7.5, almost to 8 at one point in this game. So Galatasaray actually slowly eking their way back, at least in terms of gold.
Exactly, but it also just comes down to the fact that you haven't been able to fully extend the gold lead or actually capitalize on the gold lead you have on Beyond right now. You take a look at the inventory meta, you compare the 280 carries, and it should just be easier playing for Doggo. He's 3.5 item. Alive haven't even finished his own third just yet. And this becomes a good thing for Galatasaray because the further this game gets extended, the less and less and less the gold lead actually starts to matter.
It's all a proportional thing, right? Like if you're 5,000 gold up and both teams have 10, well, one team has 10,000 gold, one team has 5,000 gold, you have 100% more gold than the enemy team. However, if it's even, then it's even. As the Solar Flare goes out, they look for Doggo. Zergsting falls back. Mojito with a kick onto Doggo, but he's going to flash across the wall, and there really wasn't any follow-up for him. Mojito trying to trade on Doggo. He is down, but the bullet time! Dodge this, it says Alive as he takes down a double. And Beyond Gaming were hoping they could channel that in a Neo, but they got taken out. Husha now trading with the Crescent Guard. Crazy a little bit too deep. Alive flashing forward. Look at the damage on Doggo, but he doesn't have enough to kill him off. He will still kill off Husha, and now in the end it's 2 on either side.
Alive heard we've only been talking about the solo laner today and decided that he needs a highlight play of himself. That bullet time fighting 2 members, absolutely amazing. And then flashing in for the third one afterwards. Pivotal, but Bolulu, you don't have vision up here. This is not your territory. You just TP'd in.
Doesn't know, he doesn't know. He backs away. Doggo's going to jump across the wall. Bolulu.
How would he know?
No stopwatch. Where are the cards? Destiny out! And he manages to escape. Smart decision making there. Could have looked to try and trade in. But unless he picked a gold card very quickly, and I mean, even with that, Doggo had a cleanse. It was a difficult fight for him to take. Look at the damage across the board for these two AD carries. Doggo 6,000 ahead, 3,000 ahead overall, but Alive started to catch up with fights like this.
Yeah, still very much how we anticipated it to go, but it actually a really nice pick coming in from Galatasaray. The laners being out of the map once again from Beyond, and it's something they're struggling with every time they're in a 1-3-1 situation. The people who's clearing waves in mid lane are just messing up their timings, and you end up getting caught off guard in a situation like this. But you know what? 30 seconds, Medic, and there's still the Ocean Soul for Beyond to fight for, but Galatasaray obviously want to continue with their own game here and try to get any picks they can.
Gold lead down to 4,000. Galatasaray slowly chipping away at it. Mojito caught out though. Glacier Fisher dodged away with the safeguard, and once again we have a battle for a soul. 2 games, and it feels like an infinite amount of battles over these dragons over the last couple of matches. Galatasaray now the ones on the back foot, but Beyond have been leaking money over the last few minutes. Coming going out, Doggo chipped away at, and that's the ultimate out from the Lucian. Of course, can rebuild that relatively rapidly. Husha forces Bolulu away down towards the bottom side, and Beyond do have the priority push into this. Solar Flare doesn't really do too much. How low Alive is. Bolulu flanking. Alive down, shut down. The flash into the Rune Prison is enough for Maoan.
And now they're just getting control of the Drake Pit here. They're finally clearing out the vision of these bushes. I say that single bush still have not been touched. But it seems like Galatasaray, they're not favoring their chances on this one.
Control
and they're just forfeiting it.
Yep, Galatasaray going to give it up. You can see Crazy working his way up towards the top side just to try and clear that wave. Destiny used by Bolulu to get out. Kino flashed across the wall there, perhaps thinking that the Destiny was going into the tri-bush.
I mean, yeah, okay, so that's a little flash there, but in the end, you did the big, forget that. The bigger picture here is still that they have the Ocean Soul now. Realm Warp on towards the Baron. You're still missing a member in Galatasaray, and there shouldn't be anything stopping you from picking up this Baron.
Yeah, I really don't know how you fight this. No Destiny for the vision. Mojito's going to try and get behind them. Maybe a Sonic Wave steal. We saw Galatasaray able to steal them last game. Can they do it once again? He's on vision. Doggo dives across. Baron has been stopped. Kino stepping forward. The Guardian procced. Here comes Alive. Bullet time available. And actually, I think this is wise decision-making from Beyond. They either had to commit to it completely before Alive got there, or they had to back away. They decide the latter is the option, but they don't have vision in the pit.
This is bad. This is very bad. They're just they check it one time with the Lucian Ardent Blaze, and then they just forfeit it. Husha is still around.
Yeah, checks it now with Wind Becomes Lightning, but they've already had Kino reset. They don't have vision. Crazy standing off towards the side. 3,000 HP now on the Baron. And Galatasaray pulled off the heights of the century. They're flipping it right now, but they turn around and with the bullet time, Maoan steps right into his demise. Husha down towards the back of the pit. You can see how Galatasaray de-aggroed the Baron. They stopped doing it. Husha's going to try and go in. Doggo could dive in as well if they want to try and take it. Oh, it's taken out, and Mojito's one who gets it. Beyond have to retreat. They lose Maoan. They lose the Baron. And Galatasaray with some great decision-making there to focus it down.
But it's also Beyond this again. They're fumbling these objectives. In game 1, it was the Elder Drake. In game 2, they're going to be looking back at this Baron. You had the Ocean Soul. You had the setup. You didn't want to flip it. In the end, you were forced to flip it then. And it was Galatasaray who was put in a position where they suddenly decided to turn, where they dictated the pace. And it's coming on the lack of vision control from Beyond. Remember, they came off a fight with Drake. Because of this, the setup was not as good as it could have been. And with the lack of priority, they just get split apart by the bullet time. Husha gets stuck in the Baron pit. They're trying to burst it down for him. And 18 HP. It's all that's left. But it's still enough for Galatasaray to get it, and oh, they're not happy about that one.
I mean, it's a game of inches. This series has been on a knife edge ever since game 1. Feels like we've already gone through a full best of 5. We're only in game 2. Could be going all the way to 5 this one. But have to give credit to Mojito, his first international competition. And alongside the rest of Galatasaray, he has been so on point with these smites, constantly getting those objectives, as you said, securing the Ocean Soul in game 1, securing the Elders in game 1, now securing this Baron. Has totally turned this game around, because Galatasaray were fighting back, but into an Ocean Soul Baron, doesn't matter if you're even-ish on gold, you are just so far behind in stats. Now, 2,000 gold the difference between the teams, and it's Galatasaray who have that Baron to push it.
Also, before we came into today, we were talking about how Beyond Gaming in the late game, you know, finally getting to play for these team fights would be the essential way of them winning some of these fights. But Medic, from what we've seen in these games, it has been the exact opposite. Every time we get to a point in the game where it's about playing for the objectives, they start slipping up. When you play the bigger map, when you start going for the 1-3-1, a person is getting caught off guard, and it's letting the tempo go back into the favor of Galatasaray. So now with the Baron buff, they're opening up the map themselves. They're making sure that they're playing on their strong side now with a Twisted Fate, with a Gwen in a side lane that no one so far is responding to.
And Beyond have to kind of recollect themselves, recompose themselves, understand they are still very strong. You still have a 4-item AD carry. More of Mount Morty is now complete on Doggo if in case he ever gets caught out. Has that little bit of extra magic damage shielding, but on the other side, Galatasaray are scaling as well. 3-item Gwen. Like, remember the days when Gwen was released and she could rip through you with 2 items?
I don't want to.
Well, 3 or 4 items is kind of where Gwen becomes that monster that she once was. Alongside that, you have Twisted Fate, who now has Void Stuff alongside the Rapid Fire Cannon, even has an Oblivion Orb for a little bit of healing reduction. And you can see 25 minutes, 6,000 gold, the deficit for Galatasaray, and now dead even or thereabouts. You can throw 728 gold out of the window and give it as a tip for both these teams for how exciting this series has been so far.
And Beyond, they're going to have to get better at this objective setup, because I'm going to be honest with you, Medic, it's going to come down to that Elder Drake once again. It's going to be what's going to be deciding the second game in this best of 5. And right now, Beyond, they're doing a decent job at it. They have top lane pushed in. Maoan can now back. He can take care of the bot wave, and they can get control of this Drake area. But you take a look at the inventory, you take a look at the map. The pink wards and the ward in general, with the TP flanks you see as well, is favoring Galatasaray. There's not that ideal vision just yet. It is starting to be picked up now.
I mean, where are the wards on the side of Beyond? Like, no control ward on your top, no on mid, none on jungle, 1 on Kino. It just feels like overall your vision is going to be lacking. Of course, they have put some down on the map, so I don't want to say they're not buying any, but it's a difficult road to walk when you can't replenish your vision.
And the reason they have the vision down right now is because they have the control. Crazy was taking care of that top wave, so it went exactly how it should have. Maoan bought you time, you could lay the vision down, but now when they're going for resets, it's going to be Galatasaray that can take control of the mid lane again, or at least they'll try to. You can see Doggo investing in culling just because of how pivotal the setup is now going to be. Crazy out on the flank here, and there is TP wards as well, or just Bolulu with a Destiny to come through.
Crazy on the flank. Galatasaray looking for the team fight, and here we go. Kino stunned up. Look at the damage already onto that support. Sonic Wave hits a minion. The cannon getting in the way of Mojito, but the chase is on, and here we go. Zergsting in the bullet time coming out as well, but it's immediately cancelled by the Glacial Fisher. Husha has to pop the Crescent Guard. Realm Warp used onto him. Flashes, manages to get away. Zergsting low, caught out with the Spell Flux. What an escape by Husha. 1 for 1 so far. Both supports are down.
Both supports down here, but that's luckily not the worst case scenario going into this Elder Drake. As Galatasaray now, you can just start it off. You don't have the kick, but ultimates are missing as well on the side of Beyond Gaming. No Crescent Strike for Husha. Realm Warp not there either, so you can't make the great escape, and this is going down fast, Medic.
4,000 on it. Galatasaray looking for it. Husha, can you steal it? Can you get it? No, it's secured by Alive. Now Galatasaray should be able to turn this team fight in with a heartbeat. Stopwatch is coming out alive, trying to keep himself alive. Bolulu doing the damage from the side as well. Beyond trying to win this one out. Doggo doing so much work for the
They're so low.
It's just too strong. One more auto attack would be enough. Doggo still surviving. Doggo not quite down. The more keeps him alive. Bolulu has no mana, and because of that, he has to walk away. Kino's on the chase, and he might not be able to escape. Flash, ward, Winter's Bite. Concussive blows with one more auto attack will be enough. Didn't want to take the kill, gives the killing spree over to Maoan, and what a fight from Beyond to the Dragon Pit.
How they navigated themselves with their summoner spells, not their summoner spells, just their overall control of their champions there to not get taken down by the wildcards or the Sonic Wave. Is this it? You're asking it. There's 15 seconds onto Alive. I don't think they can take it just yet, but they can get the inhibitor, and they can reset for the Baron. 17 seconds on Mojito, 15 on Crazy, and Bolulu still 30 seconds before he's able to join the fray.
Holy moly, what a series this is. Fighting for their world's lives, both these teams unwilling to give an inch. Beyond definitely sprung into life today, because across the course of the rest of groups, they have not been the same caliber. Baron started, Crazy TPing in, Zergsting going forward, Solar Flare, bullet time available. The solar time, Glacial Fissure coming out, there's the bullet time, really not going to do enough. Husha pops the crescent guard, crazy on the chase as well, but Zergsting's already low. Husha, the first target counter TP gets Bolulu joins the top time. And look at the damage coming out from Crazy, but once again, the realm ward from Maoan is perfectly positioned. Stun card locked in, Kino will fall, Mojito onto the back line, Beyond have overextended for the Baron, the kick comes out, Husha chased out, a triple for alive, he kills off Doggo, one more left for him to take down. Crazy takes it, and only Maoan survives. Galatasaray can counter push.
Over 30 seconds for all of them. They have a minion wave here. Maoan here has to clear this some way or somehow. But it's way too late. No, he doesn't have the TP. Realm Bomb is not there either. Galatasaray, they're going to try and close it now.
They have to save the wave. Only the cannon's still alive. If that cannon dies, this is done. 15 seconds on Kino. Everfrost onto Maoan. The cannon's still alive. They're taking up the tower. It's alive. He's going to be able to do it. The first Nexus Tower falls. Maoan pops the stopwatch. But perhaps this Nexus Tower is just going to go pop while that's happening. The Nexus Tower is taken down. And Galatasaray, with an incredible victory, go 2-0.
Who said this team cannot come back? Who said they can only win with a gold lead? Well, I did. And now I'm eating my own words. Galatasaray showing up around these objectives, but once again, beyond what is happening around these neutral objectives. How do you keep throwing it away at these stages of the game? You had close to a 10k gold lead, and I'm gonna take a breath while I say this, and they threw it.
They did. Like, it was beyond making mistakes, but Galatasaray obviously capitalizing on those mistakes, finding the avenues where they could take a fight, where they could manage to get kills. And even after being put behind so much in the early game, you got to give credit to Alive. Those bullet times, his positioning in team fights was absolutely sublime, and it carries Galatasaray to a 2-0 scoreline. One win away from a matchup once again with Hanwha Life Esports for a spot in the group stage. Last year, Supermassive were able to beat out Mad and made it to the second round, obviously losing in the end to the Unicorns of Love. This time, Galatasaray looking to continue in their footsteps. The question is, can they do it? Beyond Gaming are down, but not out yet. So check out Beyond Gaming's pick, Heroes Tonight, is the song that represents their playstyle and the rest of the teams competing at Worlds on the official LoL playlist on Spotify.
Oh yes, the king of the jungle. Time for a quick Red Bull?
Red Bull? But you still won't be quicker than the lion.
I don't have to be quicker than the lion, just quicker than you.
Red Bull gives you wings.
In the play-ins knockout stage, it's do or die. For Beyond Gaming and Galatasaray, the stakes are simple. When it stays alive, the loser is eliminated. The PCS second seed rose in the final hour to make it to the knockout stage, where they can salvage everything with a comeback run.
Easy. There's the flash I'm looking for, but oh goodness! Tom Kench is gonna make it happen! And now Boss, is he losing the 1-2-1? He is! He gets the Maoan!
Their first opponent is Galatasaray, who've already taken down Beyond here at Worlds 2021. Led by their flashy supports player Zergsting, this team has been both hot.
Triple stopwatch popped. Husha going in. Crazy on the backline. That slicing maelstrom was so beautiful.
And cold.
He's trying to get in there, but he's not able to get it just yet. Bolulu though finds two with his spin through, but Unipon's still not dead.
One will live, and one will die. Everything is on the line as Beyond Gaming and Galatasaray face off.
Welcome back to Worlds 2021 in the State Farm Analyst Desk, where if Beyond Gaming is going to salvage their Worlds run, it's going to take 3 games back to back after they drop this one to Galatasaray. Another comeback victory for our blue-sided squad here on this one. Again, I'm a little flabbergasted about how it all happened, because this one felt even more in the hands of Beyond before it went the other way, Emily.
What are neutral objectives? But a state of mind.
We will get into the craziness that was this game, because there was a heck ton of action. But before we do, let's go ahead and take a look at the draft and the adjustments that each of these teams made coming in. Because Dag, I'll remind everyone, it was Beyond Gaming that elected to stay on red side, not switch it up. And this is what they came up with.
Yeah, and I think they had a little bit more of a team fighting composition this time around, right? You got the Ryze, you can pump out a bit of damage, still got that early game pressure. And I loved how they used that early pressure at the beginning, right? They spotted out, hey, look, Mojito's on this bit of a weird path thing. He went for a full clear bot side, and it meant that they had a ton of pressure that they could use on that top side to get these early advantages. But once they got it, they just couldn't really do very much with this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I really enjoyed the fact that obviously since the Aurelia ban came through that allowed the Lucian for Doggo, they had so much prio bot side that on that path that you were talking about, they actually were able to secure bot side scuttle for themselves. And if they, if they had that scuttle contest top, they would have had both scuttles and invaded blue as well. So it was a surprisingly strong, early look from Beyond, and I did really like it. The problem that they had, which is kind of the opposite of what we were talking about from them, was that mid game.
Yeah, I think as Emily was saying, strong early game, we saw them kind of utilize that at the levels, our 6-minute dragon as well. But when we got into the mid game, there just wasn't a huge amount of kind of working together. The communication that was so strong in the early stages really fell apart when we got towards these team fights. They ended up being a bit all over the place. They gave Crazy time to scale into the game, and then he was able at these later game objectives to just take over completely.
And it's really sad because you see plays like this, right? Where they recognize, hey, we have the stronger team fight here. We can just go in and absolutely take this. We can control this area. We have it. You see, I actually love the last pick Braum as well, which is something we didn't touch upon previously. I thought it was a really, really good response. And if Beyond Gaming had been able to bring some of this early decisiveness that we saw from them into, better decision-making around neutral objectives in the big game, they should have had this game in hand.
Yeah, and I think the big one was, we saw the Braum in these early stages having that big impact, but when we got to those later points, Alive was finding these magnificent misfortune ultimates. It really did feel like there wasn't that core setup to be okay, as long as we got the Braum, we can play through this front line, we can actually play these fights correctly. But as you can see it in these team fights here, right? You've got the wraparound there where they're able to exploit the fact that you don't have a huge amount of vision control there for Beyond Gaming. Crazy's able to just completely disrupt Doggo, and from that point forward, you've got Alive who's kind of free to do what he wants in the back line.
And I love this from Galatasaray, because when we were talking about them previously, we're okay, they do like to suffocate people early. They do like to play around lane pressure, which we saw in game 1, but we're not sure if they'll be able to act on the windows that Beyond Gaming can give them. Well, Beyond gave them a ton of windows, and I think they executed really well on them.
Right, by all accounts, this was an action-packed early game, and in as we have mentioned many times already, Beyond Gaming, a number of good looks from them to build build that lead, but you have to be able to close it out, not give those openings, because Galatasaray has shown time and time again that they are a team that will take advantage of it. And I found it quite interesting how big team fight for Beyond, which looked like, hey, maybe they can push to end off of it, and it goes the other way. 2 games, 2 souls, and the team with it
this is the thing.
loses.
It feels like you've gotten like, all right, cool. Yeah, let's run this in scrims. We get to the 15-minute mark. Maz ahead. Right, lads, we got this covered. Let's just move on to the next one. Because once we get to this mid-game point, that's where we're seeing so much of this fall apart. It's the decision-making around these neutral objectives, like the Dragon and this Baron fight that you're seeing on your screen, that's given the opportunity for Galatasaray to find the comebacks, pick people off, and again, just not being set up correctly by Beyond Gaming.
And I also want to call out the Gwen pick, because this is something that really partnered well with the Lucian, with the TF to set up those misfortune ults that we were talking about from Alive. And this is something that we've seen from not only Crazy, but also Mojito. I don't think we'll see the Gwen jungle flex, but we've seen this banned against Galatasaray in the group stage previously. So it was nice to see that come out, and they obviously know how to play well around it, even if she gets set behind early.
Not a gold graph that inspires a ton of confidence if you're on the side of Beyond Gaming, because yeah, just that little tinge of blue right up there at the top. But here's where I'm going to call something into question. Looking ahead at Game 3, Beyond again with side selection, choosing red. I'm personally not a fan of teams staying on the same side 3 times in a row if it's going to spell the end of their best-of-5 career at Worlds.
I'm kind of in the middle, right? Because at the get-go, they're playing very well, right? Like, they are getting the early leads. It's the mid-game, the decision-making there that's letting them down. So, honestly, when I'm looking at them, kind of going, well, what's going to change if you go blue side, right? Like, it's not going to massively change your decision making around your mid game. That's the actual issue here.
True. Yeah, exactly. It's more about execution than it is about draft, right? Because I actually really like their draft here, and they played around it early really well.
All right, we'll see if they can clean it up. We're going to step away. When we come back, Beyond Gaming has one last chance to keep themselves alive in this series. Game 3 coming up after the break.